is happening, my people? How are you? All 4 or 5 of us here. Hey, how you doing? Hey, Ragamuffin, how are you? And Francis. And me. And if everybody is here, say hi. Make sure you can hear me. Just make a note in the comments that you can hear this, and then we'll just jump right in, shall we? Yes. Hopefully, you guys will be able to just say something. Oh, can hear. Good. Alrighty then. Off we go. Well, okay, as I mentioned earlier. Oh, hang on just a second. I'm going to get in trouble if I do this. So give me just a second here. Oh. Okay, there we go. I was about to get in trouble. Mama had some music playing pretty loud in the background. Of course, the algorithm is pretty quick. It'll pick up on it and then copyright the whole thing and play ads. And I don't intend for it to play ads. So there you go. All right, we'll stop that. And hope you guys are doing well tonight. So as promised earlier, I've had a number of emails and messages and stuff, and just sort of people asking me what they think, what I think about what's going on around us. And again, I don't know that why what I think matters that much, but I'm happy to give you my view. And again, most of it is going to be like, it seems like this or whatever. I'll give you my opinion with the first caveat being that I reserve every right to be completely wrong. I'm probably going to miss in some places. I think I can get close, to a couple of things anyway, just by using some common sense and some pattern development, right, to see where patterns become. They start to congeal, and you start to see in things, and then outliers, and then you see where people talk about stuff that doesn't come to fruition the way they say, and then you can start to see who's saying what. So that having been said, you know what? I don't normally like to do this up front because I want to usually put it at the end so I can just tell you it's going to will be done with. But I'm just going to give you the quick heads up on this because you know me there. But I haven't kind of gotten to this one for a minute. So just to give you an update where we're at. So if I hadn't mentioned it before, and I think I had in one of the kind of live streams from the park, that we had a diagnosis for the first set of symptoms, which was causing me all those problems for about 3 years. It took a long time to get there because it's a diagnosis of exclusion, and that is myalgic encephalomyelitis. And it's a mouthful, but essentially it's a subset of, and so it's part of the chronic fatigue syndrome family. So all ME, myalgic encephalomyelitis, is chronic fatigue. Not all chronic fatigue is ME. So we got that. Anyway, that was creating quite a difficulty in my life and making things very challenging because basically what happens is you get orthostatic intolerance. And so normally when you do rejuvenate you, and for whatever reason, this becomes a neurological thing, it doesn't reset that way. And so it doesn't recover. So it'll make you really sick. And so what was happening is before I was aware of it, I'd go, 2, 3, 4 hours and then get horribly sick. And I could see that it was on a schedule. So we thought first maybe, cyclical vomiting syndrome, something like that. Again, we ruled out a whole bunch of stuff. And it's not, it was always when I got sick, it wasn't really a nausea. It was like a cramp on my stomach. But it certainly would make me, hurl my lunch on my loafers, which is not good, and it was happening several times a day and very painful and other things. And this is what got me kind of going down the path of neurological disorder in this direction was that often when it would be a particularly bad episode, I'd have a sneezing fit, a very just weird, very weird symptom. And it would seem to me to be unrelated, but I started doing some research on it. So vagus nerve goes right, down the middle, and it's a big, big carrier, and it has a lot to do with the kinds of things you would see, for example, as a sneezing fit. It would trigger that even without a histamine discharge, because if it was some kind of weirdness going on there, I'm like, oh, maybe, nah. And it was terrible because like when you have a sneezing fit, you're having like 12, 13 sneezes in a row, and you have to inhale involuntarily, and that sucks the bad stuff in. So you're basically aspirating. It's terrible. Anyway, so got that going, and then the other thing happened like right after that, right after we got a diagnosis and trying to get a plan. Had total extensive oral surgery and total extraction in preparation for implants. And about 3 days post surgery, I woke up with terrible, unbelievable pain right on the left mandible, right where the trigeminal nerve comes in and attaches. And it was sort of a touch. And then I noticed when I got up, I was unsteady. I was trembling, had tremors. Didn't have much strength, and I was freaking out. And I felt like it was different on the left and right side. I go, oh, God, I'm stroking out. So I went and jumped in the shower, and it definitely put a very sharp razor line between the left and the right side. So I knew that was wrong. Anyway, I tried to make the long story short. Just by miracle, I got to see my doctor that morning. She had a cancellation, walked right in, and like basically 5 minutes later, she had me in a hospital, headed over to the emergency room to make sure I didn't have a brain bleed. What they did find was some unusual activity, but they initially diagnosed those symptoms as conversion, which kind of isn't. And again, every conversation with neurology begins with, well, it's not well understood, and that's for sure true. In any case, so we're moving forward, on that. So I got accepted at the University of Washington Neurological Clinic in 4 different disciplines. And we're kind of, again, it's slow going and just like getting the test and the baseline and all that sort of stuff and scheduling. And then I've done some stuff as well with just some dietary things, right? Making sure that I'm not having anything bad, and including stuff to build a myelin sheath, because my working theory is when I had back surgery about 11, 12 years ago now, about that time they were not giving any opioids for pain, and I had the back surgery was a result of a synovial cyst at the L5S1 that was impinging upon the ganglion nerve root there, and it was like 30,000 pinched nerves at once. So very bad. The first time it was aspirated, they gave me a cortisone shot, lasted right about a year. Right at the end of the year, like almost to the day, started noticing pain, came back really hard, went back to the doctor, they aspirated again, and this time it calcified. So within hours after leaving the hospital for the procedure, I knew I was in big trouble. So they put me back, and they put me in the MRI and realized what was happening. So now I had like a bone spur sitting on top of that ganglion nerve root. It was pretty exciting, but they were great. They shoved it through my insurance and had me, on the table this was like Friday afternoon, and they had me on the table by like 5:30 in the morning on Monday, and did a lumbar laminectomy to fix that. I don't think that was necessary, but that was the procedure they had. However, during this period of time, they weren't giving out opioids. Right up until they were giving me this Neurontin, gabapentin, as a nerve blocking agent, which was also causing some weird signs of neuroplasticity and thought, like personality changes, stuff like that. And I was fascinated with it. I should have been terrified, but I was kind of fascinated with noticing, neuroplasticity. And at that time, late 40s, otherwise healthy. And so it was weird. But I did notice there were some things that happened during that period of time I developed a tic that especially is prevalent like more at night. I'd be like a little, and it you have a little spasm of your muscles, and it also causes a little expulsion of air, and so it's kind of, you do that. And it's kind of, embarrassing, but it's not something you can control. And I just noticed these different things until, then in the last, I said about 3-4 years, had developed this other thing that thought at first it was like cyclical vomiting or something. Anyway, did finally get a diagnosis, myalgic encephalomyelitis. There's not really a treatment for it. It is degenerative and progressive, so that's, delightful. And the other thing, we're not even sure really what it is because, first, like I said, they call it conversion, but that has a lot to do with, being overly stressed or whatever. Yeah, I was, but that, it's like I told the doctor, I said, hey, if you can describe to me the mechanism by which it woke me up at 4:30 in the morning out of a dead sleep with incredible pain, also to the touch, and it's still a little bit swollen when I was there, talk to him. I say, if you can tell me the mechanism by which being sad about my mother's recent passing or other family members or the situation of the world, if you can describe to me the mechanism by which that would do that, then okay. But otherwise, let's do some imaging. And he was like, yeah, let's do some imaging. So that's where we are. So it's kind of touch and go right now. I'm doing a lot with vitamin B12 and, thiamine and niacin, some of the building blocks, the precursors for biosynthetic proteins and stuff to build the myelin sheath, right, to help grow that. So we'll see, right? Nerves are some of the most difficult things to grow. That's why head injuries are really difficult, and that's part of the problem with this. Is it's not just physical with the tremors and stuff. If you've been here regularly, you'll notice that just for a moment, what's happened is I've had a little mini seizure, and I see that we're lagging here, so we'll try it again. I had get these little mini seizures that kind of make me check out for a moment and resets everything, which is really not pleasant and also kind of intimidating because when it happens for a moment, it's like a quick little amnesia. You don't know where you are, what you're doing. If you're, let's say at the grocery store or something, you just don't know why you're there, what you're supposed to get, or even where your car is parked, right? So it's kind of, and you feel very unsettled. So yeah, it's not ideal. But, my take on it, again, we're kind of moving forward with the testing. And so far, again, throughout this entire period, I've been staying close to Dad and staying close to his arms. And what I sense from him, right, is he's with me through the whole thing. It's going to serve some purpose. So, okay, I'll do that, whether he takes it away or not. Though he slay me, yet I will trust him. I'm keeping... Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that sentiment. Namaste. That's very kind. And I genuinely love the community as well. Like those, for you who have stayed, you guys are awesome and amazing. So anyway, I don't want to belabor the point, right? That's kind of where it's at now. Stuff is moving forward. I guess the other thing I should probably add, which I'm not thrilled about on the one hand, but I think it's going to help because that's has been obviously a major concern because after the Hey, Georgie, great to see you, man. Hey, we're gonna do a talk, you and I. We'll just stream a talk. I don't know if you got a chance this weekend. Send me a message and we'll set that up. Because it's either going to be you or it's going to be Andrew. So whichever one. I can't get all to Jeremy either. Jeremy, if you'd stop by and listen to this at any time, would you send me an email? I sent you a couple of emails and hadn't got a response, but I can't remember if you told me you were going to be away for a while. I don't remember. So hit me back if you can. Got some stuff I want to chat with you about. Anyway, so I do. Awesome. Thanks, Georgie. I do want to, get back into more regular programming. It's been difficult because I can't always guarantee that I'm going to be well throughout the thing. And it would be it's so ugly when it happens and, embarrassing and all that sort of stuff. And I know you guys will forgive me, but it's not pleasant and it just makes everything more difficult. So I'm trying to get to a place where I feel comfortable with that. And it might have to, come to where I just have to record them and edit them. And it's not ideal for me. I mean, they'll be really smooth and you won't get a lot of uhs and that sort of stuff. But it lacks the, I think, immediacy. And for me, one of the reasons I do noodles up front is sort of that ephemeral, improvisational thing, clear the mind and let the spirit, come in and join us. So hopefully we'll be able to continue that. And yeah, there we go. Okay, so now moving on to what we're talking about tonight. I don't want to belabor the point, but people ask, and it's sometimes easier for me to put it all in one. And that's the same reason I'm doing this one. I misspelled it. That's awesome. Let's see. Not that. I want that. Because the spell checker, I don't know what that... Oh, I see what it was trying to do. It was trying to not make the joke when I'm trying to make the joke. Silly thing. All right. Let us pray. Right. Get it? Let us pray. Word salad. So, again, questions about, what's going on over there. It certainly does seem like this might, in some way, fill in, Bible prophecy and that sort of stuff. So, let's start here, right? One of the things I think it's good to be aware of is that what you are normally shown, and let me do this real quick. So I can just kind of put all this stuff together here, hopefully. So what you are typically, let's do this here so you guys can see this. What you're typically, I need to be up here. Okay, what we are typically told is the Star of David. It's spelled out, Star of David, got the right one anyway. Yeah, that 6-point star, and we've seen that, all over, and everybody's raising that flag now. But did you know that is not it's called Star of David. It says generally recognized symbol of both Jewish identity and Judaism, right? But decorative mystical purposes by Muslims and Kabbalistic Jews. There's your big deal right there, right? That's your big clue. insofar as I have been able to study throughout my life, what I came to was that this was not and never did represent the house of David. As best I can see, the first time that this appeared in relation to Judaism at all was there's 2 tombstones in the Middle East, one in Syria, and I think the other one's in Jordan, that are ascribed to Jewish people, and they have the symbol on it from the 3rd century. And the next time it appears is in writings that are attributed to 13th century, and that's an interesting thing because I kind of suspect that those are coincident. A long time ago, so you can't trust it. But yeah, insofar as I can tell, that was never it. In fact, it's specifically prohibited in Scripture, and let me find that text again because I did some research on it. And let me get the actual text here because I have a whole thing here. In fact, I could just read a little bit of what the notes that I had made. Okay. Jewish community in Prague was the first to use it as an official symbol starting at about the 17th century, right? But all of it stemmed from Kabbalism, right, and all their mystical stuff. And from what I can find, David himself never used it, and in fact, it seems to be prescribed, as in proscribed. Podcast on Crow, yeah. Oh, hey, thanks. Appreciate that. Namaste. I'm surprised that they play them anymore. Anyway, yes, I have had numerous chats with Wayne's a good friend, and with Crow, we did a lot of stuff together back in the day. But I took some time off when I was sick and stuff. So anyway, this star goes all the way back. The first I can find from it is connected to Ashtaroth, which is also a star, Astarte, right? Ashtaroth, meaning star. And this is going all the way back from Egyptians before King Solomon ever happened. The first biblical mention that I can find of an idolatrous star is in Amos, verse 5, or chapter 5, rather, starting with verse 25. And it says, do you offer me sacrifices and offerings in the wilderness for 40 years, O house of Israel? You also carried Succoth. That's a tabernacle of Moloch, and you know who Moloch is, right? The owl, the one who demands child sacrifice, and one of the other names of the enemy. The god which they sacrificed, the god to which they sacrificed children. And so that's Ashtaroth, Moloch. And, okay, and it says... So let me, without interjecting again, I'll just read the verse. Did you offer me sacrifices and offerings in the pagan deity, your idols, the star of your gods, which you made for yourselves? Therefore, I will send you into captivity beyond Damascus, says the Lord. It was actually the prophets of Israel proscribed it and said, no, bad. And the people who used it, of course, the Kabbalah, the mysticism, which is also proscribed. So, just to let you know, that is not at all... has no relation, right, to I guess I would just say Jesus, right? So here's the thing. This is where you see it, right? This is more in context. This is more what they have in mind, right? That's what they're doing. Is the 6-pointed pentacle, and what you get here, right? You get a 6-pointed star, right? You get a hexagram here, and so you get also the vertices. So you get 666, and there you go. Seems kind of straightforward. Yep, Moloch, Baal, Ashtaroth, which is Easter, right? Also, so Ishtar. It all kind of goes together, right? So, and then let's see here. What was I going to? Want to do that one? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so what you see there is again Kabbalistic. It's nothing to do with the state, of the original tribes. The state, yes, right. It's just, and you guys probably know this already about me, that I don't really take sides in conflicts like this. Like again, I'm going to talk about this more, but people, have asked like who I'm supporting in this, and what you'll find, and I think this is not a surprise to anybody right here, is that, hang on a second. God, that coffee is so good still. All right. So, all right. So what we got going on, here, we'll give you a little bit of that. Clear the room, right? Okay. Okay. There we go. All right. So, way back in the day, our friends, the Israelites, right? They had a regularly wandered away from Dad and his protection and his guidance, and they had all kinds of bad things happen to them, but they always, right? It seems from the moment they left Egypt, despite his constant presence with them throughout the throughout the wilderness, right, until they came into the Holy Land, they continued to serve idols, right? And as you know, the famous story of the golden calf that they built, as Moses was up on the mountain getting the 10 Commandments. It's like they can see God is there. In fact, there is so apparent that they were scared. They were scared of him. Said, "Don't let him talk to us anymore." Right? Woo! His voice was heard once, and they panicked. Right? And again, this is an indication if you were being ostracized by people that are in darkness, that is likely why. It's not really you, it's the light shines through you, and they can't. Let's back up. So, again, I want to discuss what's going on over there. So, there's this big. Right, the big argument, right, has been ultimately from the half brothers of Ishmael and Isaac, right, from the offspring of Abraham. And Ishmael and his mother were sent away. If you know the story, right, you get it. I don't want to go belabor the point, but that's who became the Arabs and the Jews, right, the Semites. And there has been enmity between them since. So not a problem that's going to be solved probably, with a couple of envoys from the U.S. and, Canada. Justin Trudeau is not going to do any good here, right? So, and this is part and parcel. I think we go to, I think one of the reasons everybody looks quickly to it, because anything that happens around Israel has the potential to fit in with eschatology or, the end of all things. And, we've got to be careful here because over time, there's been, numerous claims about the Lord's imminent return, and it gets everybody all upset when it doesn't happen. One of the biggest ones was in the United States in 1844. It's called the Great Disappointment. William Miller and his followers, Miller had gone through the books of Daniel and Revelation, and especially, in Daniel 2, the image, and in Daniel 7 and 14, the imagery there in the prophecies concerning the end time are so similar to what we find in Revelation 7, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, all through there. There's so many references that are almost identical. You got the the beast that comes out of the sea with the 7 heads and the 10 horns. So much stuff, and it's all pretty much identical. So you can lock them together, right? Well, the problem is that at the end of Daniel 14, it says that now seal up the prophecy, right, until the time of the end. And as for you, go to your peace and rest. So now we know that it is sealed up until the end of time. So I took that to read because I was very into eschatology as a younger man, and I took that to mean, right, because they seem so interlocked, Daniel and Revelation. And yet, Revelation was not sealed. And the only thing that was sealed up in Revelation that he had said, don't write it down, was what the 7 thunders said. Hey, David, great to see you, man. But we should talk. Anyway, so, oh gosh, I just kind of lost my place here for a minute because I was so happy to see David. Sorry about that. So the Israelites, right, they continued to worship these idols. We have Kabbalism all the way through until now, and it's all kind of the same. So Revelation, the thing that he said don't seal up is what the seventh thunder said in response in Revelation chapter 10. So he said, don't write it down. Other than that, it's not sealed. So it's available, but it seems, again, tied to Daniel. So it seems like when we get close, then suddenly it'll be unsealed. Jenny, great to see you. Tell Bean I said hi. So we put them together, right? So one's locked, one's not. And when it begins to happen, I think that we'll see it really clear. It'll suddenly be really clear, and we won't be able to, it'll be very clear to those who have been monitoring this. But until that happens, it is not going to be very clear. And people make mistakes, and they have throughout my lifetime and everything that I've seen before, is that people get pretty excited and about trying to solve, biblical riddles. And I think, again, they can run you around in circles and get you way far from the truth. For example, one of the biggest things that I see within Christianity that is, besides having a religion instead of a relationship, let's go do that, but that they seem tied right to this idea of a rapture, a pre-tribulation rapture. That is that they will be miraculously taken out, translated to heaven before the Great Tribulation that's Jesus speaks about, and also John in Revelation, that and also in Daniel, that 7 weeks, and it makes a covenant with many for 7 weeks and breaks it in the middle, right? And that gives you time, half a time. That's 2.5 years, or 3.5 years, 3.5 years, a 7-year period that's divided. That is part of the story is repeated over and over. It's both in Daniel as well as in Revelation. And in Revelation, it says there's about 5 or 6 different references to the time, half a time, 42 weeks, or 1,260 days. It lists it in several different ways, and it's related to a number of things, and we can get to that later. I have already decided to do a fairly extensive kind of go through the way I'm currently reading Revelation, and see what you guys think too. There is a difference between the tribulation and the Great Tribulation. So I mean, again, I would like to see this, so maybe we can have a conversation on that later, but I haven't seen that. I see that, to me, everybody's talking about the same thing, the time of Jacob's trouble, the Great Tribulation, kind of all the same. However, there's also the point, and a lot of people, again, consider Revelation to be, and again, but I do not see anything in there specific to rapture. The closest possible thing is the reference to the 144,000 as being separate, right? And the first fruits. And then, and a lot of people said, oh, that's like, for example, Jehovah's Witnesses say that this the only 144,000 will be saved, and that's preposterous, because the very next thing that it says, the 144,000 are listed in Revelation chapter 7, and it goes through all the tribes, that there's 12,000 from each tribe, which comes up to 144,000. And then the very next thing it says is, hey, all these people, a countless number, like more than you can count, in their white robes. Who are they? And he says, well, I don't know, you know. And he says, yes, these are those who are saved right through from the tribulation. And then it also says that when Jesus comes back, it really strongly suggests that the 144,000 are with him. So possibility, I don't know for sure, but that's the way I kind of read it right now. Have any thoughts on Rabbi Jonathan and this ministry? I don't really know him. Send me some links or send me an email, unintended.consequences3@gmail.com. I didn't make it easy on you, did I? Unintended.consequences3@gmail.com. Or you can send it to the new channel. I got that email address as well, which is, hope I can remember it. So the channel is Mologoses Exegesis, and I think it's called mex.podcast. I think it's mex, M-E-X, that's not Mexican, but Mologoses Exegesis .podcast@gmail.com. So anyway, you can get it to me. And absolutely, if you guys want to have me look in some stuff and get my take on a few things, absolutely send it to me. Happy to do that. Okay, so historically, the argument goes back and forth, and so we have, so we can go here to the time of Jesus, right? This is what it looks like. And one thing to be aware of is that there was no anywhere. There was historically no nation state called Palestine up until the 1916 armistice at the end of, they signed the agreement in 1916. First World War I kind of ended in 1917, so kind of went into effect a little bit later. But the whole region was called Palestine, much as we would say the Levant, right? It's a region, like the Great Plains, something like that. So there's no state called the Great Plains. There's Kansas and Ohio and Iowa, right? That sort of stuff. They're parts of it, but that's not a state. Same thing here. Palestine is a region. And that's where, the Jews certainly lived, because the entire story of Jabro is set within, Galilee and Jerusalem, right? And these places haven't moved. They've been there the whole time, right? So who has a historical claim on this? Well, of course, the Jews are going to say that they have the longest historical claim, because this is where they were brought by God after the... let's see if I go here. So maybe it has a little bit more here. So, after the Exodus, right? And they left Egypt. Here we go. And they left Egypt, and God promised them, this is the promised land, right? So they went across the Jordan River, and when they got across the Jordan River, right here, right, this is the land He gave to them. And that's where they stayed for, quite a long time. The Egyptians came and put them into servitude, as did... Nebuchadnezzar, as did his successor Darius, but ultimately this is where it was. And for example, here we see students' maps of Palestine, but you can very clearly see that this is going to be dated in that 1917 to 1947 period. And so you've got a period of about 30 years that they did actually make sort of a Palestine, right? Calling it by the reason. This is Galilee region. They called it Palestine. It's kind of right on the slip right here. And that was from the accord signed in 1916. Now, then, at the end of the Second World War, because of the Holocaust, and again, I have strong reservations about the, quote, official story of that. And again, they're going to just right away go, Holocaust denier. But the problem with that, is that here's the big problem with that story, just off the top, is not even any of the details, which can be certainly gone through, but the fact that immediately after the Nuremberg trials, they passed a law in most Central European countries, and now the EU certainly has that law, that it is illegal to even question the official narrative of the Holocaust with the 6 million Jews. And that should tell you all you need to know. You don't have to legislate truth. You don't have to put people in jail when you have the obvious truth. But you do if you're selling a lie. And this is, to my knowledge, at least the third time in history that the Jews claimed that 6 million of them had been taken out because of anti-Semitism. Right. And now that they put themselves in a position, certainly after World War II, because of this, and we see the horrors of the concentration camps. And again, I'm certain that many people died there in horrible ways. There appears to be strong evidence for that. But we've also done the math, not just me, but a bunch of people have worked this out, gotten the list of where all the known concentration camps were, the number of showers they had in there, what was happening. And you can do all the math from every way you can, but during the period of time that they had it, and they have logs of how many people they shipped on trains. The Germans were very meticulous, right, with record keeping. And the best I can come up with, and some other people have more, best I can come up with is maybe 180,000, 300,000 tops. If you double that, right? I'm more than happy about that. To say, I'm not happy about that. I say I'm more uncomfortable with the idea of being somewhere, even up to 1 million, but this seems very unlikely, because even then, right, if you're doing 60 people at a time, and it takes about 2 hours at a very high temperature to cremate a body. And they only had one crematorium in each of these places, right? And so 60 per 2 hours, right? Every 2 hours, if you're doing it 24/7, see how long, just do the math yourself and see how long. So here's actually the math. You would have to have, right, so 60 per hour, or 30 per hour, because it's 60 over 2 hours, right? So even if that, and some of them were smaller. So, but let's just say it's 60. Well, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. 60 per 2 hours. So that's 30 per hour times, I think there were 14, right? So then do that, and you can figure it out. And what you come to is a lot smaller than that. And in fact, when you do the census counts, if you go and actually look historically, they already did census counts of the Jewish families living in the borders of Germany at the time. And again, it was about with everything counted, and that's Austria, right? Hungary, like the whole kind of Germano area that they were considering the Third Reich. Then, if you get all of them together, it really came to about 4.5 million, I think, all through Europe. And so they didn't even have enough, right? Anyway, it's a lie. I'll just say this, my opinion. I'm not going to tell you what to think, but from my viewpoint, it's statistically impossible that could have happened, and they're lying. And why? So why would they lie? Well, I think it's pretty, easy to come up with. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and I don't want to get too much into that because people get all upset when you begin to say things like that the Nazis didn't lose the war, the Germans did. I'll leave that there because we're dealing with it right now. Anyway, so we had a 30-year period that we had a Palestine that was almost completely unoccupied. There was almost nobody there. The entire population of this whole thing was less than 200,000. Very sparsely populated, and kind of nobody wanted it. It had been ransacked over the ages, but to get here, the longest historical record that I have of it in quote modern times, right? Because it did change hands numerous times. But the Ottoman Empire, right? They had it for 400 years. They held it. And so if anybody, oh dear, looks like I'm lagging again. Hang on, such a disappointment. Okay, so it looks like we're back, so hopefully we are. Sorry, we lagged a moment. But what I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted is that this was the Holy Land, what we call it, right? After the Crusades fell into the hands of the Ottoman Empire, who held it, and the map did not change one bit for 400 years, from 1516 to 1917, 401 years. And so if anybody had a historical claim on it from modern times, right, it would be Turkey. Of course, I don't want to give Erdogan any ideas, but right. So then it was promised to the Jews that after this Holocaust thing had happened in Europe, that they would be given a homeland, and they, it was Rothschild. Just want to let you know that worked with the UK because it was under UK authority at the time, which had happened at the end of World War I when they broke up the Ottoman Empire. And so when they took it over, the UK administrated it, created the state of Palestine, and it was just like occupied Middle East by the UK because they had an empire. They were very empire. And so then it was Rothschild who got the things set up so that they could have a Jewish state in the Palestinian region, Galilee area. And it was the Rothschild Accord that set up the Jewish state of Israel in 1947, to the great delight of Jews all across Europe, certainly. And they set up a state there, and they did give everybody the option to leave. Looks like we're lagging again. It's so disappointing. Sorry, I hit the lag. Okay, it looks like we might be back. And so at the time of the Balfour Agreement that was done by Rothschild of the UK, with, bankers, all the bankers that were, there you go, the Balfour, I got it. Anyway, I just looked down and I was like, yeah, that's one, Balfour Agreement. Yeah. Anyway, Rothschild set that up. And the people that were there, and again, it was less than 200,000, I believe it was 187,000, something like that, that they counted when they moved them all in there, and they gave anybody living there the opportunity to leave, right? And they would say, yeah, you can go, and so they had several places they could have gone to, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon. There's a whole bunch of places they could have gone, and they said, no, we're here. And so they said, okay, well, we'll give you the strip right here. The most inhabited place was, as normal, right along the coast. That's every continent. That's where people go, is on the coast. It's pretty. It's on the sea, and it makes trade easy, right? So they kept that strip called Gaza. Right. And so they just kind of moved the thing over. And then the minute they establish their borders, then, they get attacked by all the countries around them, Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, Syria, all attacked them at once. And the fact that it was like a 6-day war, and they got their ass kicked from, brand new nation state with basically no military whatsoever. You can't say that wasn't likely supernatural intervention. Now, am I saying that that Dad approves of all the things they do? No, of course not. But he does say in Scripture, right, that the Dad's in control of everything, and he sets up leaders, takes down leaders. Nothing happens without his permission, right? Yes, evil proliferates, but we caused that. We asked for it. We gave away the deed to the enemy, right? And again, I'll go through that when we do I am going to do a big, best I can do description of Revelation, and we're going to do it in chunks because it'll go on forever. And again, I'll just give you some places to start. But this right here, guys, is what. So it looked like this is it, 1905, right? It says 1905, but went from really going, should be, so it should be from the Ottoman Empire. So Ottoman Empire, 400 years, about 30 years that they had a Palestinian state, which was then redone by the Articles of Balfour, which made a Jewish state, kind of in reparations, right, for what they had supposedly gone through at the hands of the Nazis in World War II. So they gave them that space, and then again, everybody attacked them right away, and they said, or God said no, he protected them apparently. I mean, that's my read on it. And it happened again in the 70s, and then during that one, they ended up getting the West Bank, right? And so, they got attacked. They fought them back and then took territory. And then to this day, people still squeal about that they don't have the right to have that. It's like, but you attacked them. What are you doing? And again, people, this is why this topic is almost pointless to talk about to people, because most of them have their minds made up, and they don't want any evidence to cause cognitive dissonance, because then they have to make some choices. So anyway, so who owns what? Again, not my purview. But I will say this, right? Within my lifetime, and this is kind of weird that a lot of people deny this, but again, I watched it happen throughout my life, and I'm not lying. There has been a number of attempts to make a two-state solution, to turn the Gaza Strip into a Palestine for the Palestinian people, and they were given money, many millions of dollars, on more than one occasion, and I think it's at least 3 times since I started watching it in the 1970s, right, following that second incursion. And they were given many options, and they were the state of Israel was willing to sign. They were going to do it, and they refused, because their point wasn't they didn't want a little bit of it; they wanted all of it. And this is where you'll hear them say, from the ocean to the sea, right? Palestine will be free. What does that mean? It means they want to eliminate, and by their own words, right? They say they want to eliminate all Jews. Not kidding about that. That's their plan. That's their stated goal. In fact, I'll see if I can find it here real quick. Just a little clip of what they themselves say. Let's see here. Fine. Let me do it this way. This would probably be a better way, because I did have both of them in the same place. So stand by. If you have any questions specific, you can drop them in the chat, and I'll address them. I'm going to try to get through this real quick so that I can... Stop it. So annoying here. I want to do that. Okay, so... this is so annoying. I'm very sorry. Things just never go the way I'd like for them to. I'll get there. Hang on. Come on. Gotta be in here somewhere. Because what I want to do is show you quick little videos of what they themselves say about it. So, and this is in reference to the current situation, and what the Hamas says, what their position is, and then what the I can't find it. So annoying. What the official, position is of IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. So, and here's my take on that, is that everybody is lying. So if you look at the news and you say, hey, who's lying, or who's telling the truth? In my opinion, from everything that I've seen, nobody is stating the truth, even as they know it. That they're all creating a narrative in order to please their constituency. And so for Hamas, that means being as anti-Semitic as possible, because that's what gets the Muslims riled up, because they believe that the entire nation of Israel should be taken out. That is their belief. And that's what they really want. Now, they kind of back off sometimes when they say that. For example, the head of Hamas, almost hilariously, 2 days ago, said that they did not target or kill any civilians, which is absolute poppycock, because, we all saw they live streamed it. Now, again, is it something wrong with that? Yeah, every single video that I've seen that's coming out of there is well, it's mixed up, right? They put a bunch of people together, or they put a bunch of information together and mish it all up, and they're trying to mislead you, right, in everything. And I'm sure that you guys have seen this, and again, I hope I don't get in trouble for it, but we're just going to do it anyway, and I'll turn this up so that we'll play a little bit of this. This is from the first Gulf War, 1991. So, again, this is a Gulf War coverage from CNN, which was, this is what really brought them into the mainstream, CNN, in coverage of the first Gulf War. Here we go. I'll show you something interesting, because they duplicated this in this most recent conflict, and I'll show you that video as well. Here we go. This is the best one. And just so you know, right now they're standing in a studio in Atlanta. Included in that, he says, "Oh, it's better." Watch this. So, all right. So this has been showed a bunch of times, and I want you to, let's find the shortest. Yeah, this one here. Let's show this. So I want you to look at this.
What can you report at this stage?
What's wrong with that picture? Other than, everything. So one more time. So you notice the timing of it is perfect. Her reaction is anticipating. It's actually slight. She starts moving slightly before, but then does the real jump when she can hear it. She's reacting to somebody off camera pointing at her. And the biggest tell, and you can't deny this, and if anybody has any question about whether it's fraudulent or not, when I play this again, when this goes away and they show this, I want you to look very closely that she is in, and you'll see the telltale signs of bad masking for chroma key right around here, this little halo, especially if she moves, and you'll see it when she moves. There's a little glow here on the helmet, but the bigger thing is she's in focus, and this is in perfect focus. Some probably, nearly half a kilometer here, probably 2 kilometers there, and 2.5 kilometers ish, like that. That's all in focus, and that's impossible for a single lens camera because of the focal length. If you're focusing on her, this is going to be substantially out of focus. If you focus on that, she's going to be out of focus. So,
what can you report at this stage?
Okay, so did you see her lips begin to move? Like she's like, what? And then she gets the thing, and she gets out of the way, and then you'll see that lovely little. You're going to see some of this lovely. I think it's a blue screen instead of a green screen because the chroma key often is blue, but there it is. And he asks her the question. And so again, it's as soon as he tosses to her again. So not even. It's obvious. So as soon as he tosses to her, hey,
what can you report at this stage? All right.
Okay. Anybody buying that? Anybody? You buying that? So everything is wrong. All right. So again, looking for short one here. Okay, this is the one in which they say that they found 260 bodies. Again, I'm not disputing that people died. I think it's very likely. They love their blood sacrifice. But the story that they're telling is wrong. See, look at the background. They don't seem panicked, and yet some people are already running. And this is the kind of thing you look for in these. Look at the background. Don't look at what they're trying to show you in the foreground. Look at what's going on in the background. Look how people respond. Okay, now they got people running, right? Now they got people running out there, but but who is that, right? And for what? Oh, and it suddenly goes out of focus. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? And now when you this is the ones that really sicken me, right? Is all right, so you're gonna get this, and this gets really disgusting because, like all of the trauma thespians, right? Telltale signs. They do it every time, and you'll notice that you'll notice the news anchor nearly always will feed the story. So he doesn't ask them and just like, hey, what happened, and stop. He starts describing it. Almost every occasion, oh, you did this and you did this and these horrible things happen. And they're trying to put on a big show. They're all so, I'm so sorry for you, right? And then when you look at the people, and again, these are people who are supposed to, that's what we're told, they have lost in a horrible, traumatic way, people very close to them. And, okay, people grieve differently, but there's no redness or puffiness around the eyes. There's no tears. There's no mucosa nervosa. You get snotty when you're upset. You sniff a lot. You can't stop it. It's coming at your eyes, your nose, and your whole little triangle of your eyes and your nose turns red. They become very profuse. Your face flushes, and this happens, and you can't stop it, right? You cannot stop it. Very few, only really good actors, right, can duplicate it or present it. Most of the time, they're kind of weak. But some great actors, right, can convey that. But you'll see this in pretty much universally with all these people. No matter how many I play, what you're going to find is, again, look at this. Do they really look like the people under duress? Do they really look like they are under duress there, or just kind of hanging out? The one granny that they showed gave a peace sign. I shit you not. All right, so this guy is, he is supposed to have his wife and daughter have been taken hostage by Hamas. And here we go. He's trying very hard to work up some tears. He's rubbing his nose. They do this a lot. They'll also cover their face because it's very obvious that they are not crying. So they try to cover their face over and over and over. Doesn't work.
I want to ask of Hamas, don't hurt them.
That little wiggly eyebrow, right? He's kind of trying to think of what to say there.
If you want me instead, I'm willing to come. The last 24 hours were very difficult. I tried to stay strong.
Does anybody think that guy's legit? Is that legit? I don't know. You tell me. I mean, it just I have problems with it. Okay, let me find some other ones here because I saved a number of things and just going, holy crap, right? There's a couple of them that I've seen that do look legitimate, right? That people are broken, but that's usually the ones on the ground where they're pulling people out that are, obviously harmed or have succumbed to their injuries. But most of them, the ones that they've been playing over and over on the over and over on their on the news, the mainstream news, sorry, I'm getting here. So yeah, it's all garbage, right? Every bit of it, from every side, all garbage. I want this playlist right here. Hang on a second. I have one called Bad Actors. Okay.
Finally, tonight, so many stories.
All right, so we'll switch back over here. It's Lester Holt. I don't remember which ones are which, but okay, this is a professor, right? And I think this is the guy who had his nephew supposedly dying. This was within 12 hours.
Heroism and heartbreak emerging from here. Stephanie Gosk has the story of one family now facing unimaginable loss.
They were a couple of idealists who sent their kids to a school where you learned Arabic and Hebrew together.
So one thing to note, right, is that always they will talk about them as they were saints, and they will almost always say, especially, and this is a really bizarre one, in the gun control nuts, when they come out and do that one, they'll always say, oh, they would have forgiven the people, right? They would have forgiven their killer, and they would want, and then insert their narrative here, like on the Shandy book place. The one gal, like all the kids had said, oh, they would just want that only military and cops can carry guns. Oh, come on, man. Here's only the first graders said, get the fuck, get out. Nobody believes that garbage. So here's this guy. He's talking about it again. What I look for, I normally look in people's eyes. That tells me most of what I need to know and tells me whether they're being honest with me or not. I have experienced and been around a great deal of grief in my life. And I have... and I was going to say ministered to, but that's not really the right word. Mostly when I'm with people who are grieving, we just sit in silence. It's the only thing that does any good, right? Just to cry with them. You're not going to give them any pithy wisdom or make it better, right? Anyway, what they all have in common is this look in their eyes. It's just dead. A part of them died, and they're coping with it. And their emotions cycle rapidly. But you don't see that with any of these people. And if you look in their eyes, you can see what very much looks to me like they're trying to recite lines.
Brandeis University professor Ilan Troen, remembering his daughter Deborah and son-in-law Shlomi. He was on the phone with them on Saturday when Hamas gunmen broke into their home.
The last words from her was that I hear glass breaking. They're speaking in Arabic, and I hear shots. That's the last words we heard from her.
He says the
Does
couple...
that sound even close to plausible? Does that? Oh yeah, the number of people who say that they were talking to their loved ones on the phone when it happened, it's like, I don't know, 15. Again, what are the odds?
Allahu Akbar!
Does this look like legitimate, or does this look like a very carefully staged place in one small area? Look, there's nobody behind him. The context. Look at the context around it. Right? Look at the context. Does that look like a heavily guarded military base? Not to me. That's not what it looked like. Right. Sorry. It's not convincing. Conveniently, blurred out. So again, don't believe them. Don't believe them. But pretty much to the same degree, it's let's see if I find. See that one. That guy looks legit, right? Like he's actually having grief. That's grief. But there's a couple of them I watched that were so gross, right? This one, I can't remember on this one. I think this one's bad too. Most of them are. There's only a very few that seem to have any veracity whatsoever. Most of them are telling a narrative. I believe this.
An Israeli mother and father. They were killed right in front of him. A warning. This may be difficult to watch.
I bet it is. Oh, it's difficult for me to watch.
This was a typical day in Rotem Matthias' family. His parents, Deborah and Shlomi, laughing and singing along with friends and family. But 5 days ago, family bliss erupted into sheer terror.
Look in the background.
Hamas militants broke into their family's kibbutz, spraying gunfire through the windows. Both his parents were killed as they tried to barricade the family inside. His mother's body fell on top of him.
Very dramatic. Either of them have red, puffy eyes? I'm lagging. Perfect. Okay, so real quick, again, do either of them have red, puffy eyes? Do you see that? These are kids. He's 16. His parents, just probably about 14 hours prior to this interview, were told that terrorists broke in his home, killed his parents at gunpoint, and his mother landed on top of him. And I was in worse shape than this when my mom unexpectedly passed, and I wasn't even in her presence. It was just kind of shocking. She had gone, in for a minor surgery and just didn't recover well. And I was in worse shape by far. than these guys. So look, I want you to look real close. Do you see any tears there? Oh, maybe he's been awake for a minute and trying to learn his lines, but you'll listen to him. And one of the things you'll hear him always say is, I can't describe it. I can't really describe it. Well, of course they can't really describe it, right? Because they weren't there. They're trying to make it up. And look at her. She's kind of bored, but she's trying to think of, wait for them to tell. And she's going over her lines. He's going over his lines. Watch.
It exploded. The last thing my dad said is...
I'm going to back it up just a little bit.
It exploded.
Sorry.
They tried to barricade the family inside. His mother's
listen
body
to the story,
fell
and then
on
listen to
top
what they
of her.
say.
The terrorists opened the door, shot.
So first they shot, and then, they opened the door. Right. So it's already got holes in it.
For a grenade or something.
They threw a grenade or something. So that wasn't what did it. They opened the door, threw a grenade, and it didn't hurt you? Really? Get the fuck out of here.
It exploded.
Oh, yeah.
The last thing my dad said is he lost his arm, and...
That's the last thing his dad said. I lost my arm. Really? Really? That's the last thing he said? Oh, I've lost my arm. Not run! Or, God protect us, or I guess they're very disarming.
Then my mom died on top of me.
Yep. Just as dramatic as they can get it.
Rotem hid under a bloody cloth for hours. Even when the terrorists returned to hunt for survivors,
look, he closes his eyes, shakes his head. But again, no tears. They closed their eyes a lot.
he managed to send a simple WhatsApp to an extended
I got
family
shot.
text chain
No,
writing,
they are gone. It hurts.
"Parents
I got shot. It hurts. Not help me. Help me.
dead. Sorry."
Sorry.
I just stopped my breathing.
More emotional than the person telling the story because, they're actors. But they're, oh, God, here we go with the lag again. So annoying. Okay, looks like we're back. Okay, so again, what you'll see in almost every one of these is that the interviewer is going to be more emotional than the interviewee. Even though these are the people who have supposed to have lost loved ones, these guys are always more emotional. It's because they're actors, right? And they're making it emotional. Oh God, I just can't imagine. Oh, tell me. And they've got these people in here, right? And they're more believable, sort of, than these guys, but none of it's believable because it's a crock.
Put it down as much as I possibly could.
He's nodding because he's listening. Yes, you're telling the story. That's the story we want you to tell.
I just stopped my breathing. I lowered
He
it
stopped
down
his
as
breathing.
much as I possibly could.
Okay, he's a monk now. He's a Shaolin monk, and he was able to go into a state of self-induced coma.
I didn't move. I was terrified. I didn't make any...
Does that sound like somebody reliving the experience? Because you know what it sounds like when people tell a traumatizing story. These are just tiny little tidbits of the best he can remember of the things to tell. It's not connected in any way. These are bullet points that he was given to say.
And I hope, and I prayed for any God. I didn't really care which God. I just prayed for a God.
Oh, is that right? Oh, is that right? Any God. Doesn't matter.
That they won't find me.
I met Rotem at the Soroka
Oh, look. He's damn badly injured. He's badly injured. Look at that.
hospital in southern
He's
Israel.
in the hospital
where
recovering
he sat
from, what, bad acting?
beside his older sister, who hid through the ordeal at the same kibbutz, but was able to barricade in a safe...
Okay, look at the light. Look at the light in her eyes. Did anyone close to her just die? I defy that. I not in a million years. She's happy to be on camera.
room. The orphan duo now reliant on their grandpa Ilan, who's mindful of history.
They came back, and this is so important.
Okay, now here he is. Grandfather is going to sell you on what you're supposed to know. Right? This is how you're supposed to respond.
They wanted to verify that they had killed everybody. They set the fire, and this is a story that comes from the Holocaust.
It's a story that comes from the Holocaust. Yeah, he's right.
They set the fire and to make sure that if there were any survivors, they would exit and they could murder them.
Oh, how convenient. There were a couple of these that were. Here we go.
There's still
tell me if this makes any sense
over Saturday's Hamas terror attack. One devastated father described his relief at learning his 8-year-old daughter had been killed rather...
One more time. He's devastated, but he's relieved that his 8-year-old daughter was killed.
than taken hostage. In tears, Thomas Hand said the death of his daughter Emily was a blessing compared to the horrors she could have been subjected to in Gaza.
GTFO.
Others, though, are still waiting for news of their loved ones. John Ray reports.
This war has torn so many families apart and will destroy so many more before it's done.
Okay, that's probably true.
8-year-old Emily Hand was staying with friends.
You're going to be here soon.
Okay, look, he sniffs, but is there anything coming out of his nose? It's a pretty tight shot here, and pretty good lighting. Look in those eyes, right? Is there any red and puffiness here? Has he dropped a single tear? Has he stayed up overnight in grief and agony and disconsolate? Well, if one of my children died right now, or my grandchildren are about that same age, I wouldn't be able to talk for days, right? And he's not only talking, he's got an agenda. He's got a narrative. He's got an outcome that he wants there to be, right? So here we go. Here's our dad. He's relieved that they killed his daughter.
Just hold on a bit longer. And longer.
Gets his voice to break. It gets his lip to quiver badly, but not a single bit of mucus. This you can't help it, right? It is physiological. Unless you don't have a soul, if your daughter died some hours prior, this whole thing would be, you'd look like a panda, right? A little raccoon or whatever. You'd have a mask. It's a red, puffy. I'll show you some that's real after a while, and you'll see the difference. But look at this guy.
Yeah. And longer.
Does he look like, you know what he looks like to me? A crack addict who is lying to you to get money. He's trying to come up with something and make you believe his bullshit story, right? That things are bad, right? So that's what's going on. Okay, I got a couple other that are even worse, if possible. If I can find it here. So it's so terrible, right? It is so. Oh, here we go. This is one. Okay, so distressing, but yeah. Does it make sense? Okay, he's a pretty good actor for a kid, but I can still tell you that, if you zoom in there, right, he would be uncontrollably crying, and the mucus would be flowing, and the eyes would be red. Nope, no tears. He screams. He acts a little, worked up. But these are physiological things. You cannot fake that. There's no, that's not what it is, right? So, yeah, it's like that. All right. There was one in particular. Let's see. I'll move back to here so I can do this. I need to go just basically here. Oh, I wanted. Sorry. Here, because there was a couple of them that were just particular. Okay, hang on a second. I will get there. It's just going to take me a couple of minutes here to find what I want. It's just, again, it's nuts, and they're brazenly lying. They do it over and over and over. But the more I watch it, the more I think this is some kind of like weird satanic ritual. All right, there's a blood sacrifice. I think the 260 at the music festival may be accurate, right? But that sounds exactly like a blood festival or a blood sacrifice to me, because they do love that. Still trying to get back to. Is this it? No. Hang on a second. Because I had a bunch of these previously. This guy. That's pretty good, but I'm going to pass on that one. I want to get. There was a couple of these that are so telling. You just can't. It's like, what? Really? This is real? They really expect us to believe that? So I hope I can find it here without. I don't want to spend too much of my time on this because there are a few other points I want to cover. But it is just remarkable how not only brazen the lies are, but how badly they are in executing it. So they and these lies are on both sides. So when you get to the other side and you start looking at Al Jazeera and stuff like that, of course they put they put the big free the Palestinians on it, and they're of course anti-Semitic, so they're down with the Jews. Let's see here. I think I was hoping I was getting to the. Is this one? Yes. Okay. Here we go. I think I have one here. These are supposed to be siblings that went through this.
I know people say this, but the warmest, most loving.
Okay. Again, here's what you're looking for, right? Looking for all those same physiological tells, right? When somebody is in deep distress, they can barely speak. They will usually refer to the person, if it's been this close to the time of passing, they will usually still refer to them in the present tense and not the past tense. This is supposed to have happened. And you see the clean, bright eyes, makeup, and watch them tell their story.
Kind, generous.
And who's this here?
That's Amelia. Right before it was Danielle. The babies, I mean, they're children. Like, what can I say? They're beautiful.
Okay, so she goes into the, but do you see any actual mucus, tears, redness?
And they're funny, and they're silly little kids, Like, look at her. She's making a little heart with her hands, and they're my aunt's world.
But the children.
And I just look, they're human beings.
Yeah, that's Shalom right there.
And Shalom and David and the twins.
Liam, what would you say? There's a chance, you never know, that the people mentioned.
Okay, that's the brother. And they said he couldn't talk. He was so upset he couldn't talk.
This could happen.
So when my cousin moved to the kibbutz, we all were like, why? But that's where her husband's family lives, and it's a beautiful place.
Any snot, not even sniffling, no redness.
And it's very close to Gaza. And so every time there was sirens, red alert, we would check in. And it was always, it happens often. And it becomes, for the Israeli people, it becomes a normal way of living. These sirens, these bombs, these rockets being sent. And
yeah, sure it does. Okay, so the quick question there, what about Willie Pete, white phosphorus? Yeah, it looks like they're using it again. I have no special information, right, inside information about what they're doing militarily, although I think we can make some guesses. Again, everybody's lying, so that's my thing I'm going to say here, is that everybody on all sides are lying to you. They're all telling their own story, not just to create confusion, and that is something that they're doing, but they are specifically trying to appeal to their audience, right? So the Hamas is appealing to the Arabs, like Hezbollah, trying to get them to fight in and saying, oh, we've been so badly mistreated, while Israel tries to bring in the Western states that they have close ties with, the United States, the UK, Australia, and so forth. So that is... That's that. Quick question, why do 90% of people buy into this crap? You know what? Simply math, and you mentioned math. So basically, if you think of a bell curve, standard bell curve, let's go back here, and it looks like this, right? And this is, so through a bunch of stuff, and I talked about this, if you go way back to my first couple episodes, of Unintended Consequences, and I spoke about this, specifically Aldous Huxley, and his description of it, as well as some other psychiatrists at the time. So this normal distribution, this is pretty standard in just about everything. You see this kind of distribution happens. The most common are in the middle, and the outliers are out on the ends, and that's what it looks like. So when it comes to susceptibility to influence, right? They call it, they're easily influenced or susceptibility. These are people who, for example, would be the most likely and easy to hypnotize. And so those are the outliers, those who can be pretty much hypnotized 100% of the time with very little effort. They would start on this left side, right, and probably go in here. And then you have that other group that's almost can't be hypnotized at all, and they're on this other end here. In the middle, the people, the largest is that they're somewhat susceptible to it, especially with repetition. And so now you've got this whole group all the way here over that are for sure being hypnotized, and this group in here that's it's hard to get them, so they'll buy some of it, but not all of it. And the very tiniest group over here says it's BS. Right? So that's why. That's why most people buy into it, and those numbers are not likely to change. With that. So the other thing that I see happening, and I think this is is that what you see is huge support for, huge support, especially among the Christian, denominational Christian, cultural Christian world. People, I call them chinos, Christians in name only, that they go to church, right? And so they have, I guess, I don't know, brainwashed, right? But they've been taught this, right? So Romans 11 and Hebrews talks about it the same thing. But what it says basically here is that they're talking about ingrafting of Gentiles, right? How the promise of salvation and the birthright basically given to Abraham's seed, right? They were going to be the one that were going to be in the family. And Jesus said, right, that he had sheep that was not of this fold. And when his natural family, the nation of Israel, the Jews, when they slew him and rejected him, then, as he said, and after Pentecost, they sent Paul, right, to proselytize Gentiles, which, Peter had a big problem with because he was a hardcore Jew. But here, so now we have, you had a lot of the Greek Christians now and people who were not Jewish who then had bad feelings, right, toward the Jews because they did this. And so that's kind of the context around this. And he's writing, this is Paul's letter to the Romans. And he says, the Jews, did they stumble so far as to fall beyond recovery? Certainly not, right? He's saying that, yes, although they are sort of rebelling right now, how much would Dad open his arms to let them come back? Just like the prodigal son, right? So it says, did they stumble so far as to fall beyond recovery? Certainly not. But because of their trespass, salvation has come to the Gentiles to make Israel jealous. But if their trespass means riches for the world and their failure, recognize Jesus as their Messiah. And so he says here, if the rejection is the reconciliation of the world, what will their acceptance be but life from the dead, right? If they choose it, they'll come back. And if the first part of the dough is holy, so is the whole batch. So if the root is holy, so are the branches. He's saying that they still, they were naturally, right? They were the people that he blessed. And and he says the Lord gives gifts without repentance. So they still have blessings, but they also have the curse that they laid upon them because Caiaphas, the high priest at the time of Jesus' crucifixion, said to Pilate, he said, because Pilate said, hey, what this guy to me is innocent, right? And he said, but they said, hey, let his blood be on us and our children. And I can bring you that too. So let me do this. And he says, oh, come on, man. Stop it. Why are you going to be like that? Okay. So this is, this is going to be, going. Here we go. So this is what they said, right? And so, they got honored for that. So Jesus delivered to Pilate. Judas hangs himself. And again, that's a weird one because first chapter of Acts says a totally different thing there. So we'll go to that, later. But took the 30 pieces of silver. Jesus goes before Pilate. Pilate says, what is truth, right? And he washes his hands and said, hey, I don't want anything to do with this. Pilate was sitting in the judgment seat. His wife sent him a message saying, have nothing to do with that innocent man. I've suffered terribly in a dream today because of him. Don't do it. But he got pressured, right? And because they said, hey, if you don't do this, we're going to tell, Caesar, right, your boss, that you're not taking care of things, right? So he says, which of the two do they want? What should I then do with Jesus, who's called Christ? They said, crucify him. They all answered, crucify him. Why, asked Pilate? What evil has he done? But they shouted all the louder, crucify him. Mob mentality. When Pilate saw that he was accomplishing nothing, but instead a riot was breaking out. That sounds very similar to what we see now, isn't it? He took water and washed his hands before the crowd. I am innocent of this man's blood, he said. You bear the responsibility. And all the people answered, his blood be upon us and our children. Plain as day. No question about it. However, right, if you are tempted then to be what they would call anti-Semitic or be, arrogant, right, here we go. This is back to Romans 11. You will say then branches were broken off so I could be grafted in. Okay, that's fine. It says that's correct. They were broken off because of unbelief, but you stand by faith. But don't be arrogant, but afraid. Right? Fear the Lord. Fear the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. For if God did not spare the natural branches, he will certainly not spare you either. And arrogance is a sign of what? The original sin, pride. We say, the original sin was what Eve committed. No, the original sin is what Lucifer committed, pride and disobedience. He was jealous of man because man was mini-me, and he thought him below him. He was not going to have that happen. He was butthurt because God liked his little brother better. He was used to having all the attention. When it got taken away, what about the Sadducees? Well, they all said, right? So all of those were there. Now, was all of Jewry there? No, right? We certainly have Nicodemus, right, who came in, and Joseph of Arimathea, who came in and claimed the body. So, sure. But this is what they said, right? Anyway, going back here, it's saying that branch was cut off, right? He said, I'm the vine, you're the branches. We're going to continue that metaphor. And he said, the natural branches were cut off and you were grafted in. And so for otherwise, right? So he said, but if you're prideful, right? So take notice of the kindness and severity of God. Severity to those who fell, but kindness to you if you continue in his kindness. It's his kindness that leads us to repentance. Otherwise, you will also be cut off. Take warning. And if they do not persist in unbelief, they will be grafted in. If they choose to accept Jesus as their salvation, they will be grafted right back in. For God is able to graft them in again. For if you were cut from a wild olive tree and contrary to nature were grafted into one that is cultivated, how much more readily these, the natural branches, will be grafted into their own tree. Right? And so here we go. But now, because of that, and here's what I want to get to, right? Because of that, most of Christianity, at least cultural Christianity, right, which is what I call it, it is a religion. It is not a relationship with their creator. And we should very clearly differentiate between those two, because most people who call themselves Christians have never met Jesus or their creator. Never. They trust in a religion, a religious system, a belief system, and in their pastor's ability to teach them rightly. And they believe themselves justified by their, apostate Protestantism. Certainly the Catholic Church. Oh God, here we go with the lag again. So sorry. So apostate Protestantism, that they, none of them, well, certainly denominations, none of them are really focused on Jesus. They're focused on themselves and their rule keeping. And rule keeping was already proven not to work, because that is why Jesus came and died. Right. Okay. We got that going for us, which is nice. So basically, the point is that now, because of this infiltration of the church by the enemy, then now most Christians, air quotes, in the U.S. and certainly in the Western world, they believe that, again, Israel plays a special part in them and prophecy. Now, yes, Israel does play a special part in prophecy, and we can get to that later. But they basically, just like our government, support the Jewish government, the Israeli government, unequivocally and in everything, right? No matter what they do, it's okay. And clearly that's a problem, especially when you can see the behavior, right? You'll know their fruit, you'll know the root by the fruit, right? So out of the overflow of a man's heart comes works for either good or for evil. And so when you observe the behavior of the Israeli government, they do a lot of things that I would say are more than just a little bit questionable. Even as regards their own Torah, which is not, it starts with the Pentateuch of Moses, but then they go off into their interpretation of those rules, the rest of it. So, needless to say, I would suggest that they have a poor interpretation of Scripture, largely because they missed the most important thing about their, quote, religion, was the coming Messiah, that they had, that he would send Messiah to the world through their bloodline, and they would be blessed by that. And they threw away the blessing and said, his blood on us and our children. But here's the warning, right, that now that us, Gentiles, have accepted his salvation, Now we become grafted in. We are adopted children of God. That's what the book of Hebrews says. We have become adopted in as Abraham's children. But, again, we shouldn't be arrogant toward them, but neither should we blindly follow any government. All earthly governments are set up by man and are directly opposed to God. Right? So why would you support something that you know is directly opposed to God? It's silly. Sorry. Most, again, cultural Christians, those who go to church and are pew sitters, will never get off this idea that they are supposed to, worship Israel, I guess. And so this is going to be a big stumbling block for a lot of people. I can't count the number of churches that I've seen that have the 6-pointed star, quote, Star of David, which is a mockery of God, right alongside their Christian flag and the United States flag. And they have no idea what any of the symbolism means, as I'm sure you are already well aware. I'm going to just bring some stuff up here real quick. So this is... So I have that, and then I'm also going to need this, which is okay. So what I'm trying to do is bring symbolism, right? So all the symbolism that appears. So let's go back here. We have. So you can see it. All right. So you're probably already familiar with the Great Seal of the United States. There are two sides of it that appears on the $1 bill, both sides, the obverse and reverse. And so on the obverse side, and that's the front, what you see here is what we are told is the eagle, 3 e pluribus unum, 13 arrows and 13 leaves here on the olive branch, arrows. Peace and war, right? Oh, but there are 13 stars in the what is that? Oh my gosh, it's the Star of David or whatever. Yeah, it's this hexagram, and all sorts of other symbolism there, right? And that is, oh boy, here we go. Exactly based on the, you know what it is? It's actually Egyptian in nature. Goes all the way back to Horus. Here we go. And Horus is often depicted as, half human and half eagle. What am I looking for? Oh, it's a crest, right? So, okay. So, here we go. Here you go. Does that look familiar, guys? Right there. Whoops. All right. There we go. Horus. That's the sign of Horus. Look at that. Oh, dear. And... Oh my, look, arms out, head turned to the left. Oh dear, arms out, head to the left, holding things in each hand, wings spread and looking left, because that's the left path. They're not going on the right path, they're going on the left path. Here you have the all-seeing eye, of course. Notice that the eye is separate from this, and so as the pyramid goes up, that is separate. He is unlike the all-seeing eye of Sauron. See who that represents? Lucifer, Satan, Beelzebub, whoever. But he's separate, right? Separate here. They serve him, but they're all lied to. Everybody lying all the way down. And why they're lied to? Because Jesus said, what happens? Show me the signs of the end of the age. And he says, what's going to happen here? He says, when will these things happen? And what will be the signs of your coming and the end of the age? And the very first thing out of his mouth is, see to it that no one deceives you. That's interesting. So, there we go. So, essentially, the reason that I kind of do all this, right, and to get you here is to put things together, right? We're looking for pattern development, and that is that all of the nation states involved are, how do I put it, agents of the enemy. So when Arabs, right, call us the Great Satan, they're not that far off. This has been, this nation was established for the express purpose of being the great experiment, and the Statue of Liberty expresses that. That is not a lady. If you look closely, it's not even close. It's actually Apollo that was it was built and meant to stand at the entrance to the Suez Canal. And when Egypt realized that they were going to have to pay for it to be installed, they were going to give it to them free, but they had to pay for it to be installed, and the maintenance was going to be really high. They said, nah, screw that. And so they found another buyer, and they talked to their Mason friends and then sent it over to the U.S. and called it the Statue of Liberty. But it is really Lucifer holding the torch of illumination. Again, that's where we are with that. So it's all in bed together, right? These guys are all together. So when we return then to this idea of what is going on in the Middle East right now, right? So does it match with Bible prophecy? I would say yes. There are a number of things that are lining up fairly well. Go into that as well. But what I really want to get to is, again, the reason why we tend to just sort of jump on things and not really think about it, right? So you'll see this if you're on Facebook or whatever, right? You'll see that people instantly post these flags, right, in support of this and that, and I stand with this and that sort of thing. So not really, they don't think about it, right? They got to show what they're, they want to show their allegiance, right? And it's virtue signaling. In fact, let's see if I can... if I find this, I had a video I posted the other day. It's kind of funny that a guy made a video about this very thing here. I'll show you this. So this is the title of this is an actor. He's trying to figure out what to do here because, of course, he wants to keep his job, and so he's not sure who he's supposed to support.
It's been a few days now. I still haven't weighed in on Israel-Palestine. I honestly don't know who to post. Usually it's easy. BLM, bang. Ukraine, bang. COVID, bang. Hey, did you do your Israel-Palestine post yet? I've never missed a stand. So who'd you go with? I look at my phone, I see a lot of Republicans supporting Israel, so I go, maybe stay away from that. Then I see a lot of the people we've been calling Nazis supporting Palestine. But then get this, the people that we've been calling them Nazis with are happy Israel's getting attacked. Riddle me that. But there really is no easy answer here. Did you do your Israel-Palestine post yet? No. What does your manager think of that?
I'm retired.
Oh, you don't have representation right now? Obviously, I was at the front lines of getting mad at Kanye West when he was doing the anti-Semitism stuff.
Right, so he's got to stay on top of everything, make sure he's doing the right thing, staying in good with the cult.
Everyone's thanking me for standing up for the Jewish community. So naturally, I'm seeing this happen. I go, okay, we're back with the Jews again. I see Kylie Jenner post for Israel. I think, okay, the word's in. Then boom, she's getting killed on every angle, so it's not Israel. So I start doing a bit more research. I'm seeing queers for Palestine.
Okay, so keep in mind that this is the struggle that they go through, right? Because they got to make sure that they can't say anything to piss off the cult, right? Because it is a cult, and you have to toe the line. And they keep adopting increasingly insane positions that you have to, continue to accept and promote, because otherwise you'll get kicked out. And they've now gotten everything. Way down the line. So you have to agree with the craziest crap.
And generally, you want to be on the side of the queers. If you look at the things, you're not going to get in trouble if you go with what the queers are saying. Then Mia Khalifa, who we all...
Yep, you're not going to get in trouble if you go with what the queers are saying. Again, expressly, anti-biblical in that sense. Again, I don't have any personal animosity toward anybody and how they live their life, right? But I do grieve for people who are hurting, and everybody wants and needs love, and some people are so desperate for it that they will do anything. So with that, I just have compassion. That's all.
Obviously supports posting with the queers, and she's getting fired from her job. The whole reason I'm posting this is to get in better standing with my job. And by the way, I started to see that your silence is noted post popping up, so we're running out of fucking time. If you had to pick, who would you say?
I would stay out of it, like I told you.
And of course, that happened. This actually played out in real life here. I don't know if you're aware of that, but there were. Let's go over here. I want to do this and go back here and say there were. Harvard student, I will put Palestine in there because what they did was there was a group, like 32 different student groups at Palestine had issued support for the Palestinians because, they're young and woke and they're trying to go with, it's an open-air prison. Again, they have no understanding or comprehension of history other than the history that they're told, which is totally wrong. So they issued these letters, and Harvard sort of quietly backs it. They don't issue any other statement of condemnation, but they don't do anything about this. So then they got big pushback, and then somebody doxed them. Somebody put out who these groups were, and you can easily find out individual people. And what happened was, rather than put pressure on Harvard, a bunch of CEOs got together at major corporations and said, when we find out who they are, they're going to be blacklisted and they'll never get a job. what do? They immediately scrambled to change their position. Because, nothing says commitment to your beliefs and strong belief systems like changing it the moment that you hear somebody doesn't like it.
You kind of have to choose, which is sort of what a situation I feel like I find myself in. But you don't understand, I got to post to support one of them. I know to you, it might be like, oh, who cares what he thinks? A buddy of mine booked a Geico commercial from his Ukraine TikTok, so it happens. Feels like we like decolonizing. What is decolonize? Is that just like killing the people?
Yes, that's what they mean when they say decolonize. That is what they mean. So, because again, they change the words and the meaning of words, and that's what the left does. It's exactly the Ministry of Truth as George Orwell presented in 1984, which, again, was not a warning. It was a script. It was a playbook.
That's literally what I was saying, man. Because normally it's pretty easy. I don't know what the answer is. This one's, I just want to post one of the flags and sort of be done with it. It's tougher than you think.
There you go. I just want to post one of the flags and be done with it. I want to do virtue signaling and be slapped on the back and show everybody I'm in the proper herd.
I'm getting yelled at if I post Palestine. I'm getting yelled at if I post Israel. It's starting to feel like, if anything, I'm the victim here. I'm looking on the internet. I see Jews for Palestine. I kid you not. Also, I'm watching the parades. We're talking Times Square. Between me and you, when I see a bunch of brown people having a parade, I think it's a pretty safe bet to be on their side. Never failed me before. I mean, people are probably texting each other right now, wondering where my statement is. Israel, though, probably, right? Yeah. For me, it's a little more complicated as a Gentile, you know what I'm saying? Maybe if I look at who's getting censored, that's a good place to look, like follow the YouTube warnings. And then I'm looking at UN women, I'm thinking, follow the SNIS, whatever the women say is usually pretty good. They're just posting random shit that has nothing to do with it. Trans lesbians or lesbians. Can I just go with that? Just like a random blanket post, just be like, hey lesbos, just so you know, lesbos with dongs are still lesbos.
See, I mean, that's what most people do. Even if, again, he doesn't believe it. He just wants people to think that he does, so he doesn't get kicked out of the club. Again, as he said, and again, this is obvious comedy, but the best comedy is true. That he's an actor. He's got to keep his role. He's got to make the machine happy.
Stop avoiding the dong lesbos. I can't. I feel like it's the wrong move. But you go in Israel or Palestine, you're thinking, no English. Oldest trick in the book, my friend. I wish I could do the same. Okay, so like if Native people in America took down some girls at Coachella, I'd probably be like with the natives against me, right? Like that seems right. I can talk to my representation for you if you're. No, it's okay. Palestine's got to have Jewish people there, right? Like Palestine, isn't that? Am I being messed with here?
Yes, you are. Okay, yes, you are being messed with, my friend, and by quite a bit. It's funny, but it's funny because it's true. They don't have any conviction. They only have performative garbage. And ultimately, this is where I would, again, challenge you. And we can go over and over all the stuff that's going on in the Middle East right now. But here's the bottom line. This is what my perspective is when I was asked about my perspective. That it is... once again, it's hard to do it quickly, right? But essentially, what we should be looking at, right? Here, I'll try to find a couple of things that I had written here, and it's all kind of broken up. And like I said, I just sort of had to start to do a little cut and paste, and I don't really want to do that because I want to kind of put it all together. Where did I put those? Sorry, I'm looking because it was. Couple of things here where I'm gonna put the position. It'd probably be easier to just say it or read it if I can find it. And I said here that both sides are presenting information that puts them in the most favorable light to the audience. I already got that one. I had a couple of longer bits. I may not be able to find it. That one sad, but let's see, use that or this or not that in here, not that one, not that one. So maybe I was looking for it on my I almost said MySpace on my Facebook page because I had posted a thing about it and now I don't see it because I post a lot of crap. But we have this. I can go here. I guess I can do this. So if you want to know what each side believes, here you go. We'll give you we'll start with the IDF. This is the IDF side. No, you know what? No, I'm going to go in the order that I saw them. So put this together. I did remove one of their ridiculous claims 2 days after. So this would have been Monday. On Monday, the spokesman for Hamas said that they did not target nor did they harm in any way any civilians. Which, of course, they were live streaming it, so that's poppycock. So I did not include that in this one. But this is a compilation of them in their own words. Let's move here so you can see get the benefit of that. And this is the things that they say.
اللهم عليك بيهود شل أركانهم ودمر كيانهم اللهم مكننا من رقاب.
So again, I don't speak Arabic, but so we have here basically paralyze them, destroy their entity. Oh Allah, enable us to get to the necks of the Jews. And they sound like rational individuals, until not a single Jew or Zionist is left on the face of the earth. Our doctrine in fighting you, the Jews, is that we will totally exterminate you. We will not leave a single one of you alive. The Quran says, kill them wherever you may find them, and we will find them wherever we can. The moment will come when their property will be destroyed and their supporters. Oh Allah, destroy the Americans and their supporters. Oh Allah, count them one by one. Kill them all without leaving a single one. Yes, the religion of peace. That's good. And then, so the IDF. Keep in mind, I don't trust them either. So, but here's what they say, and there is some truth here in that, as the Jews have often put it, if the Jews put down their weapons, if the Palestinians put down their weapons, there would be peace. The Jews put down their weapons, they would be annihilated. And I think that's accurate.
Set the record straight on Israel's border with Gaza. Hamas seized power in Gaza in 2007 and has controlled it since. Rather than investing in infrastructure to support their own civilians, Hamas has been investing millions and millions of dollars in terrorist infrastructure.
Okay, that's an important point, and that is accurate. I mean, pretty much, she's telling you things to frame it in a way that you'll support them, but that is accurate. At least 3 times that I'm aware of during my lifetime, there has been a proposed 2-party state solution. And it would be literally a state, a country of Palestine, probably Gaza, and they were thinking about giving them a little bit more, right? So like moving some of this here, but with some guarantees, blah, blah. And the Jews weren't happy about it, but they didn't even allow it because, again, their goal is not to just have a state. Their goal is to kill the Jews. All right. So so when now keep in mind that the Israeli government did support Hamas as preferable to the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, that was long headed by Yasser Arafat. And they did a number of terrorist things, and they kind of did start talking to him for a while. So there was 25, 30 years of that. But during that period of time, they flatly said no, they refused because, again, they wanted from the river to the sea, they want Palestine to be free. In other words, displacing entirely the Jews. So we got that going.
To kill Israeli civilians.
Right. So instead of building an infrastructure and helping their own citizens, they thought, and again, I guess you can see the mindset, but in their mind, they thought the best way to help is to kill our enemy. So that's what we want to do. And apparently, most in Gaza agreed with that.
It was Hamas's choice. Israel maintained 2 crossings into Gaza: Erez crossing in the north and Kerem Shalom in the south. On a normal day, you would see people, merchandise, food, and supplies crossing into Gaza. But on Saturday, October 7th, Hamas launched a brutal and barbaric attack on Israel. Hamas slaughtered hundreds of Israelis, injured thousands, and abducted dozens of innocent Israelis into Gaza. Hamas bombed the crossing into Gaza and murdered the IDF soldiers stationed there. They destroyed the crossing and live streamed their rampage.
Okay, that's probably enough. But basically, again, she's setting the narrative there, but most of that has accuracy to it. Then she goes into the emotional plea at the end. But essentially, what we saw play out was that Hamas, right, frustrated with Israel, colluded with Hezbollah and Iran. There's probably no question about that. No matter what anybody says, That's what they do. They did that, but they did that knowing, right, in full knowledge that their retribution would be swift and severe. Again, it's their fight. It's not mine, right? What Scripture says, right, is anybody who insinuates himself into a quarrel that is not his own is like a man who grabs a rabid dog by the ears, which is a fool who is soon to meet his end. Right? So, not a good idea to stick your nose in it, which is exactly what we're doing. Nevertheless, right, this argument goes back all the way to Ishmael, right? So there we go, right? It's not going to be fixed by any fancy talking, and certainly in this case, Hamas launched those rockets and live stream slaughter with full knowledge that the retribution would be swift and severe. And so I put all bloodshed during this conflict entirely at the feet of Hamas because they started it. Does that make what Israel is doing right? No, of course not. I'm not for. I don't approve of any government, right? I approve of people, right? I love people, and a lot of people here, in fact, the vast majority of them, are getting screwed. They're getting killed. They're getting slaughtered. It's happening all over the world. But that's not the story, that they want to tell you. They want to tell you a story. And then the other thing that's really big right now, and I think it would be remiss of me not to. Well, again, what did Jesus say? There will be wars and rumors of wars, and there's going to be earthquakes in diverse places. Right? So we got that. Well, he said, but that's only the beginning of troubles. Now, keep in mind that the world is polarizing, first over Ukraine, right? And the people who weren't really polarized too much in that were the Muslim nations. They didn't really care. They just wanted to be able to sell their oil, and they were kind of happy about the restrictions put on Russia to sell their oil because they get more money. So we got that going for us, which is nice. But now they relight the fire and turn up the heat. And again, you'll hear everybody say it. This is the biggest fight, in Israel for 50 years. And it's the first time in my lifetime that they have declared open war. That when Benjamin Netanyahu said we are declaring war, you know it's going to get serious. So it is. It's not going to be. It's not going to be quick and easy. In fact, this may be. Really, everybody's polarized now, so this may be the start like a World War III. And again, I'm not trying to scare anybody. It's like this is what I look at. Everybody's polarizing, and it's going to create this kind of conflict, which again sets up a perfect opportunity for the next phase, which are the two things that, again, we're told Werner von Braun said we're going to come, which first is an asteroid and then the aliens. And so right in the midst of all this garbage, so there might even be, air quotes, a tactical nuke set off somewhere, right? Again, the evidence for it will be flimsy, and just like all the videos I showed you that are absolute fraudulent, right? It's made to present a point of view that's not real. For example, just the other day, Russians took one of their T-72 tanks and on film, blew it up and said that they were, it was a Ukrainian tank that they great victory. Except for you could see the Z right on the tank. It was obvious that they just blew up one of theirs that probably had mechanical problems to be the hero, right? Everybody's lying. Everyone is lying. And so, as I have often said, it's very difficult to get to the truth. They do an awfully good job of trying to obscure it. But what you can tell is when you're being lied to. And to get to the truth, one of the best things you can do is, again, Scripture says, if anyone lacks wisdom, let them ask Dad, who gives freely and without repentance. So if you want to know the truth, just ask the Spirit to guide you, right? And listen for that still small voice. That is really the best thing that you can do. Now, here, let me do this real quick. And
So the hostages are.
I want to stop this because this is kind of gross. When they took all these hostages, like this is the story we're told. They took 150 plus hostages back into Gaza, and as bargaining chips. But then they said that they were going to. Oh, come on, what is it? That's so dumb. It's not what I want. I want the comments on this, and how come I can't find it? Oh dear. Terrible. I'm looking for the comments that I. That's not the one I want either. So I'm looking for some earlier notes that I put up, and I can just go through that. But essentially, again, everybody's telling the story they want told. and doesn't necessarily have anything to do with reality. They're telling you the story. And let's see if this is it. Okay, that's not the one. So sorry. I'm having trouble here. Super annoying. Sorry about that. These are just, we're not going well. All right. So, I'm trying to get where I can see this. So, I don't know. I can't find it right now. It's kind of annoying. Sorry. I can actually had intended to have those things in front of me when I started, and I got a little bit delayed and didn't want to be late. So I want that, but I also want that. Oh, maybe I can find it here. Sorry about that. Looking for ways to find things. I had sort of put them in some kind of order earlier, and then got in here at the last minute to meet with you guys, but hopefully I can get here. I forget that the iOS version and the PC version are different, so it makes a difference. So now I'm looking on my iPad real quick. All right, where are these at? Sorry. If I can't find it quickly, I will, I'll just move on. But just some bottom line stuff on this, and just sort of a way to look at both sides. I could probably just try to do it from off the top of my head. But basically, again, the central theme is that I believe that every government is lying, and they have an agenda that they want you to believe. The first thing Jesus said, right, is be not deceived. So I think that you can, that's good advice. Right? And then my next advice is, again, just if you are concerned about this, right? Oh dear, looks like we're lagging again. Stand by. So annoying. It's terribly annoying. Is it lagging? Can you guys hear me right now? It says I had no connection. Okay, it says it's back. All right, there we go. Sorry, it's the lagging is terrible. But what I would just encourage you to do, right, is again be at peace, because you can't do a thing about what's over there, right? Other than pray, trust Dad, and He's got everything in hand. You needn't worry about anything that you have no influence in. All you do have to worry about, right, is keeping your relationship with Dad good, open, and listening very carefully, because the time is coming, again, when it will be important to hear that still small voice. I am absolutely convinced that without it, without that ability to listen closely and respond, it's going to be a really difficult journey from here on in. And again, make no bones about it that I'll come back here. What Jesus Himself said about what is going to happen and how bad it's going to be. Right? Many will come in my name, claiming I'm the Christ. That's already happened. Deceive many. Yes. In fact, the Catholic Church, he said they consider the Pope to be Christ on earth. It takes the seat of Peter, which again he was the founder. Jesus said, "On this rock I'll build my church," His church, not the Catholic Church. You will hear wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. So that's where I'm going to land. Right? Be not alarmed. He said that's what Jesus said. Be not alarmed. Right? These things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. In the last week, there were 3 earthquakes in the Middle East within 30 minutes of one another. And there have been, pretty substantial. And there were widespread earthquakes every day since this thing has begun, right? Those are just the beginning of birth pains. But now, pay attention, because, again, I had somebody kind of mention on my last stream, right, about talking about what I anticipate rather than a rapture, right, is this. It's like, oh, that's a bummer. And I'm like, look, I didn't write it. I'm just reading it, right? Then they will deliver you over to be persecuted and killed. and you will be hated by all nations because of my name. At that time, many will fall away and will betray and hate one another. And many false prophets will arise and mislead many. We're right here. Because of multiplication of wickedness, or the abundance of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. We're perfectly in that. That perfectly describes our current situation. But the one who perseveres to the end will be saved. And that's my encouragement. It will be from now until the end, because it says it over and over and over again. It's not in the rapture is not in the Bible. That's correct. There is no scriptural evidence for it that I can find. The closest possible thing is the possibility of it. Oh God, here we go with another lag. I'll wait till I see the green light appear again. Sorry, so really, really challenging. Okay, so with 144,000, the possibility there, right, is that I see it says that when Jesus returned, 144,000 are with him. That's what it says in Revelation. And the other thing, remember, truth in the movies, lies in the news. There are about 15 or 16 different programs, television programs, that have appeared on different places in the last 10 years that deal with the idea of people, a large group of people suddenly disappearing. And everybody goes, where are they? And there's no body left, right? And then in most of these stories, they come back a year or more later, and they're different. They're changed, right? And I do think that this is very possibly going to be a ruse that's done by the powers that be. Is they're going to kind of fake a rapture. I think that's very possible because so many people are expecting it. And again, in a way to damage their faith, but also because they didn't get raptured, right? Now they're going to question their faith and go, oh, I didn't go. What's wrong, right? And then, is there really a God? Well, what about these other people, right? So it's going to be very confusing. And again, Jesus said, take heed that nobody deceive you. But in all over in Revelation, right, it continues to say that he that endures till the end will be saved, that they did not love their life so much as to shrink from death. It says, blessed is he who from this point forward who dies in the Lord, because they'll be able to rest, and their deeds will follow with them to the end. The work has been done. It also seems to indicate that mid-trib, or right at the 3.5 year mark, that those who were not martyred then are under protection. It says, given the wings of a great eagle, it gives them wings of a great eagle, and basically translates them or takes them to a place in the desert that he has prepared for them. And then from then to the end, it appears that, again, this is where the serpent, right, or the dragon puts a river out of his mouth and tries to drown the woman, but the earth opens up and swallows the river, and the dragon is enraged and goes off to fight more. But it says basically that there is a protection there. And so that's the way I read it, right? Also, Isaiah 54, don't look for the former things. These are new things. I make a way in the desert where there is no way, springs in the desert, that thing. So again, I will cover much of that later, but this was supposed to be kind of specific to the current situation. Are we fulfilling Bible prophecy? I think we do every day, but I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest that we're right on the cusp of seeing things begin to knock off pretty quickly. And I've been looking for this my whole life, and there has been movement, but I kind of, once I got 40 plus, I was like, well, maybe again, the idea that because Jesus said, I'm coming soon, and then all throughout the New Testament, they say, look, that, the return is soon, be prepared. And then, so again, it's now 2,000 years instead of maybe 1,000 years, like if they put an extra 1,000 years to make it seem way longer in between, again, that would mess up anybody trying to keep track of time. Whereas we know that the powers that be are really into it. Every ancient structure, those big megaliths, nearly all of them, are set up in an astrology set so you can clock the skies. And what does it say in Genesis? First thing it says is that he put the stars into the sky, let them be for signs and seasons and dates and years. And so here we go. These are for signs and seasons. And throughout the Bible, especially the Old Testament, it calls people astrologers. They were wise men, and they consulted the king, because they understood the movement of the stars. And again, every single ancient culture seems to be freaking obsessed with timekeeping. And so they're looking for it. Now we have the biggest one of the biggest, but certainly the biggest stereo binocular telescope observatory in the world is the Lucifer, owned by the Catholic Church. Not kidding, you can look it up. And they own or have full access to all of the large observatories and telescopes all around the world. They're involved. Either they own it outright, or they have a large percentage hold on it, and they send their Jesuits around all the time. So they are very closely tracking time. And interestingly enough, while we're on Julian calendar, they also still keep a Gregorian calendar from before, and U.S. government keeps it, and the British royalty keeps it. In fact, they still mark the birth dates of royalty in the Gregorian calendar as opposed to the Julian calendar, the one we use now. So very fascinating stuff, right? They are looking at time. There is some stuff for time prediction in the Bible, but it also says that's mostly in Daniel, which then says lock it up to the time of the end. So we'd have to do some research on that. I think it could be done, but from my perspective, I'm really just, again, focusing on listening very close to the Spirit and trying to understand this as best I can in a way that is meaningful. Like, again, Dad usually shows me stuff that's meaningful to me. And so most of my relationship has to do with him healing my heart, right, and how to express love. That's most of it. But here we go, right? It looks like it's coming. And when you see standing in the holy place, the abomination of desolation described by the prophet Daniel, let the reader understand, then those who are in Judea flee to the mountaintops. Let no one on the housetop come down to retrieve anything. Let no one in the field return for his clothes. Abomination of desolation is talked about set up in the in the holy place. And again, right now we've got this big conflagration happening, and you know that it's going to involve the Temple Mount, right? That there is a mosque there, and the Jews haven't been able to have a sacrifice, and 2,000 years or more, because they can only do it on the Temple Mount, and they don't have access to it. So it's a big bugaboo. They've been trying to get that back together for years. If you read Tom Clancy's Sum of All Fears, that's a major plot point. Time is a construct of humans. I don't know. I mean, here's my take. If I were to put it this way, I'd say time was made for man, time was made for man and not man for time. The same way Jesus said that the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath. The 7-day cycle of the week, humans are the only one affected by it. There is no other astrological or no animals that respond to it. We're the only one that's limited by the week, the 7-day cycle. The exact same time that we're told that the Creator created all things and rested on the seventh day. Interestingly enough, many cultures, in fact, as recently as the 1970s, in France, they tried a metric week with a metric clock. And again, they wanted to get us, since the French Revolution, they've been trying to get as far away from religion as possible because of all the bad stuff that happened with the Catholic Church. So it was the age of reason, and they just pretty much want nothing to do with religion. So, the Book of Jubilees, it's good stuff. All of the Apocrypha has good stuff in it. Not all of it's exactly fully reliable, but certainly the Book of Enoch, I think, is really accurate, and Book of Jubilees, I think, has a lot of great stuff in there throughout the Apocrypha. So, anyway, again, my encouragement for you, for all of you, right, is don't listen to me, right? Don't take anything I say as given, because I would feel very bad if the whole point of this is for you to see it for yourself. All right, I'm giving you my opinion, what I see going on, and again, I have every reason to believe I'm wrong about some of it, but it does seem a lot of it's overlaying really nicely, and seems to be consistent with the way I see things going down. It could suddenly go really all the dominoes are lined up. All it really needs is a hard tap, but who knows how it will fully play out. But in the end, I adjure you to make a decision now. Where is your line in the sand, and where you won't cross it? That's it. Because if you don't, it makes it so much more difficult when it comes to it, because it's hard to make good decisions when you're afraid. And again, I'll say that the opposite of love is not hate, it's fear. God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. And perfect love casts out hate? No, fear. Perfect love casts out fear. So, be at peace. Be not afraid. Right? First thing that heavenly messengers say when they show up: be not afraid. probably because they're very scary looking, but all that having been said, I encourage you to be at peace. Do not be afraid, because if God is for us, who can be against us, right? We don't have to, again, Jesus said, don't fear those who can take your life. Fear those who can kill both the body and the soul in hell. The only one can do that is dead. So don't fear man, right? Don't fear man. Don't fear anything. If God is for us, who can be against us? Right? The big thing here, again, is to follow wherever he is. That's my best advice. Looks like we're lagging again, and we're coming to the end, I think. So I just want to say I would like to say thanks to everybody for dropping by. It's great to see you. So I got a lot of stuff coming up, and again, I have to scramble and do a lot of things. We're trying to get, obviously, this thing, and I'm a little bit uncomfortable, but I think it's okay. I've been praying about it a lot. I did apply to get disability, Social Security disability, because I can't work. I mean, paid into it my whole life, and why not? I don't like being reliant on the government, but for the time being, I think we'll open up some stuff, and I really want to do the busking tour, and I think that's going to come to fruition. I just got to get through this thing first, and that'll give me some regular income, at least a little bit, that I don't have to worry about relying on gifts and donations, because everybody's got a hard time, and I'm not big on e-begging, as you know. I pretty much never do it. If you want to donate, there's stuff in the show notes. You can find all that. But I rely on Dad to take care of me, and he does. Like, people have sent me, just out of the blue, they send me, gifts, and I'm so grateful. And I treat it, as a tithe. It's God's money, so spend it wisely and properly. And it has been, again, he always takes care of us. So anyway, but I do have, I forgot about, because of all the seizures, and I lost some memory and stuff, and I had forgotten that as I come down to the end with the dental stuff, was getting implants, got the implants put in, and then they have to make the appliance that goes over it, and I'm kind of right in the middle. I paid for the early dentures, right, for the recovery from the surgery, and then you have to have another set that's a permanent set that goes with the implants. And I'd forgotten I paid everybody off pretty much, other than, I had to take on some debt to do it, and then I went back to get some adjustments and realized, oh God, there's like $2,000 left, that I got to order the gold things that hold in the appliance. Like, oh God. So now I have dentures that I can't wear because of the implants, and I have implants that I can't use until I pay for them. That's awesome. Anyway, so praying through that, just pray for us on that. But I got to take care of all this stuff before we can run away. That's basically the deal. I do want to do the busking tour. I think that's going to happen. But ideally, we'll be able to get the disability thing worked out, get money rolling in from the state, and then I think when we do the busking tour, Dad will provide, and people will donate along the way if they feel led, and I think he'll be taking care of us all the time, so no problem. Again, with that, thank you guys again so much for being here. I love you so much. We'll do more. I know I got kind of going fast. I'm just trying to get as much in as I can, but we'll do it again, and I'll kind of line up some stuff for studying, Revelation, when what I see looks like it's happening there. Again, a lot of people have had a lot of thoughts for many, many years, and I'm the edge of being fulfilled and how it all looks. So if you're interested in that, I'll promote it. Oh, here we go with more lag. I love it. Anyway, namaste. Thank you so much. And everybody, thank you, Georgie. Thank you so much for being here. George, hit me up. I would love to have you on a program and talk more. Georgie in Finland, and he's already been a guest on one of my programs, but we sort of have parallel lives in some ways. Like, he's about 2 years behind everything I'm going through. He's going through. I hope he doesn't have the physical things that I'm getting, because I don't wish that on anybody. But it's fascinating, and the same with Andrew, the guy I told you about. So very similar things, and so that indicates to me that, again, this is not my health thing. Again, I think it is some preparation tool, right, to get me to fully trust Dad, and I already did, but to see his power. Again, if he takes me out, fine. Like, don't threaten me with a good time. Like, oh, well, I get a nap until you come home? Perfect. I'm tired. Anyway, so Yeah. Again, I realize it's kind of manic. Part of that is just I'm trying to get it out quick, and the other part is the neurologic thing is challenging. I frequently lose my train of thought, and so I'm just trying to get it out of there as I can, and I have to wait for I have enough energy to do it because it's so hard. Again, not complaining, just trying to explain, but I really do want to get back to a more regular schedule, so when you can, come here. So YouTube post. Well, this is one. In terms of pre-edited video, I haven't done one of those in a while, but I do, interviews and a planned program coming soon. Right, I have to just kind of sit down and go through the things. And this is sort of like a quickly put together one, but I will almost certainly do another stream Saturday morning, or that's when I did them before, but Saturday morning and Sunday evening is usually, I try to get them in then. So look for it there. Thanks very much, everybody, for stopping by. Again, I got to run, but I'm so terribly pleased that you're here. Thank you so much. And if you have questions or you want me to look at something, send me an email. Again, unintended.consequences unintended.consequences3@gmail.com. And yeah, just send me an email or a message if you are friends with me on Facebook, and if you have any questions or you want me to research something, that stuff, or if you have things that you disagree and you want to see what I think, all of that. I usually don't get very argumentative. I don't feel I can convince anybody of anything because people usually choose the way that they believe. And I don't think it's not comfortable with trying to change their mind. I can explain if they have questions the way I see it, and if the Spirit wants to lead them to truth, perfect. I can't do it. Not my job. Anyway, that's it. I love you guys so much. We'll get back together soon. I'll give you a little music on the way out. One of the old rehearsal jams from the band back in the day. I know you're probably sick of them by now, but that's all I got. Just a few little things. Oh, you know what? Let me do this. Oh, no, I'm going to do this. I'll go way old school and go back to the early band, Sleepyhead, with Jim and Joe. We'll do this one. Okay, it's called Still. It's written in like 1993, I think, 3 or 4. We had a band house like we always did, and I got up at about 2 o'clock in the morning, couldn't sleep, went in the living room, and there was Joe. He couldn't sleep either. He got up and he was noodling on the guitar, had a little guitar riff, and I said, hey, that's cool. So I got a piece of paper out, as I often did, and wrote some words, and I think in about 15 minutes we had it pretty well laid out, and didn't change much since then, and it was always one of my favorites. So I'll throw this at you. It's called Still. I hope you guys have a great night, and we'll see you again next time, hopefully Saturday morning-ish sometime. Be well.
All of the ends of the earth, night after night. of you.